It's a case study of Frank Lloyd Wright's Zimmermann House in Manchester, New Hampshire. My name is Jim Cowan. I'm an Autodesk AEC Solutions Specialist in America. That is the American continent. And what I want to do is go through a study where I look at the house and how it was designed, get an idea of the history, and then look at how you can use different products to analyze the house. About interoperability. Project background: the Zimmermann House drawings are located in the Curia Museum of Art in Manchester, New Hampshire. I was given access by the librarians. You can't take the drawings outside of the library, and there are no copies that exist in the archives at Taliesin West. John Geiger did give them copies of the plans, but they were lost. So the only copy now is at the Museum of Art. John Geiger, who was the Taliesin apprentice, he was really the project manager on this, and he was kind enough to answer my questions in email correspondence. And John lives in Los Angeles. These are the first drawings that were submitted to the Zimmermanns. This was actually work that was done by Frank Lloyd Wright and Neil Schweitzer, and if you look at he was an apprentice, later had a career in Florida as an architect. If you look at the drawings, a couple of things I want to bring to your attention. North is down the way and to the bottom right, which is a little unusual. And all of the drawings were done with the top of the sheet being the south direction, which is again a little unusual, but I turned them around when I made the model. So if you're looking at the drawing, there are a lot of inconsistencies. If you look at the elevation that's at the top of the sheet, you can see one row of block. If you look at the same area of the building, the carport, on what is the north elevation, you'll see that there's 2 rows of block. There's a lot of inconsistencies in the drawing, but the drawings are being used at this stage to just discuss the layout of the building, a typical Usonian building. The sketch shows long horizontal lines. It shows a raised workspace area in the center where the kitchen was to ventilate the space, and it's in a wooded area. So what happened was that these drawings were modified. You can see the line work here that shows, okay, let's take out this wall, let's extend the master bedroom, make it bigger, let's do the same for the study or guest bedroom. If I look at the kitchen area, you can see how small it is. You come in the front door that's flanked by 2 concrete pillars, made up of concrete blocks, and you're immediately opposite the entrance to the kitchen. Kitchen utility room and workspace is tiny, and those were all changed later on by through comments and the advocacy of John Geiger when he's changing the design. Also, if you look at the elevation, you can see that the site was assumed to be flat, which was not the case. So the elevation shown on the middle right, if I actually move my cursor, that's the actual level that the ground would be at. This original sketch was modified by, and the drawing that was updating the original proposal was from Jack Howe. Jack Howe was in charge of the drafting room at Taliesin, and you can see that it's a much cleaner drawing. A lot of the changes, notice that actually, instead of dwelling on the changes in the drawing, I'll show them as we go through the product. You'll get a better sense of how the building changed. But I consider this to be the second option of the building. The first one, the original submittal, then the update to those drawings, and then after that, when it came for approvals from the planning department or from the building department in Manchester, Neil Schweitzer put together a set of drawings. I think there were about 9 of them, and these were submitted. The drawings themselves, though, were kind of incomplete. You'd often have inconsistencies within a drawing. Maybe the plan would show one type of window or door, and the elevation would show a different type. Also, the multiple sections running through the building, it wasn't always very clear what was the one that was being proposed. So John Geiger, when he took over the project, redrew the set of drawings, and also subsequently made lots of changes in the overall design, always with consultation with Taliesin, sending letters back, waiting for responses, but really advocating for the Zimmermans on the changes that they wanted to see in the building. And this letter just confirms that Frank Lloyd Wright considered John to be the apprentice that was really most involved in what he considered one of his best houses. So the objective here is to explore the Zimmermann house using Autodesk tools and simultaneously explain the story behind the design. This gives me a chance to kind of evaluate the applicability of the tools for integrated project delivery in a small way, right? I don't have a large project, but I will take it into like 4 or 5 different products just to see where the strength of those products lies and how you might use it as part of a larger multidisciplinary team where you're working not in a linear process, but you're all working on a project at the same time. North elevation of the of the house. Notice the long horizontal lines and what looks like one continuous roof. A projecting chimney stack that was also kept fairly low. The roof has clay tiles because of consideration of preventing fires, so they didn't want sparks landing on what originally was a wood shake roof. Small precast concrete windows with a pattern that I'll talk more about later, but they weren't originally designed for this house. They were recycled from the Dabney house of 1949, a project that wasn't built. A local facing brick, and on the south side, and so on the north side, the window's very small because of the harsh climate. There's an unusual sloped roof because typically the Usonian houses have a flat roof, but you get 2 to 4 feet of snow in this area. On the south side, though, the house really opens up. If I look on the left here, what I'm looking at is the music area. The Usonian houses at this stage were largely about lifestyle and the clients, not so much about trying to create very cost-effective housing. So on the left, I've got the music area. Adjacent to it, the garden area, and you can see the planter actually runs into the garden room, as it was called. Then beside that, you've got the area adjacent to the hearth of the in the centre of the house. In front of that is the dining area. Behind it is the workspace area, which is now greatly extended from the original proposal, with the clear-story windows for lighting and for ventilation. Then you've got a master bedroom and a carport, which Wright invented at least the term for the carport, and then an additional storage area that was requested again by the Zimmermans as the house was being built. If I look in the inside, you can see that on the ceiling there's Georgia cypress in bands of 10-inch board, then a 3-inch board. On the north wall, you've got the precast concrete windows. You've got an area for displaying art objects. You've got built-in seating. You've got a facing brick. Originally the house was common brick, but they changed it to make it facing brick. You've got a grid on the plan that's a 4-foot module that's repeated and used as kind of an organizing principle for the house, but also vertically you've got a 13-inch grid, which is 5 courses of brick, and you find that the height of the furniture, the height of the lintel, the height of the shelvings all kind of corresponds to that 13-inch module. If I go over to the right hand image, you can see that you can get continuity of space, both in terms of a false ceiling that has a ribbon of lights that goes from one space to another, but also in terms of materials flowing from the outside to the inside. The time period that they set for the house was to be the 1960s, late 50s, early 60s, which is what they've restored the house to be. I do have a complete outline of what events happen when. I got that from the correspondence in the library. I'm not going to dwell on that, just so that you know that I do actually have it. Excuse me. The issue here is that BIM is really bigger than Revit architecture. So initially I was thinking of Revit and the subset of Revit called Visari as being all of the part of BIM, and it's really not. It's really the building part of BIM. It's how I create a virtual model. But all of these other options exist that would let me explore the house, and that's what I'm going to try and do, is incorporate these separate products. So now I'm thinking of a suite of tools. I'm not really thinking so much of BIM as being Revit. That was a misconception on my part. I'm thinking of BIM as being that expanded suite of tools. So let me stop at that point. I'll save this movie and then I'll move on to conceptual massing in the next movie.